Good afternoon, everyone, and here's actor Joaquin Phoenix calling for New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to grant clemency for prisoners. Now, I watched a little bit of his Instagram video. He didn't quite say exactly what he meant by clemency, aside from just meaning let them all go, which is probably not a good idea. You don't want to release all kinds of prisoners or rather illegal people into the populace, especially during an epidemic, doesn't seem like a good recipe for success. In fact, it might make things a lot worse. Generally, I would think people who are in prison are rather sheltered from the rest of society. That's kind of the point. So they don't interact with the rest of humanity or their society. So they should be fine. And I'm quite sure it's very similar to how people who live in apartments or small houses, that they're already living together, they don't go out, therefore they're not going to get sick. So it is with people in prison. So I don't know exactly why he's concerned about prisoners in that regard, since they're in prison to protect, so they don't get out. It's kind of the whole point. They're in prison. They broke the law. They're violent. Whatever law they broke, they're in there for a reason. And just because the outside world is having some weird lifestyle changes, I don't see how that should impact incarcerated people. I don't quite understand. Maybe he has some insider info. Maybe he has some stats. Maybe he knows people who have been calling for help, who have lost people in prison. I don't know. I really can't say. This is a very strange thing. This is a guy who's very sensitive about every social issue under the book, whether it's environmental issues or vegetarianism or cruelty to animals or what have you. This guy is always talking about it. In case you haven't noticed, he's a little expressive on those things. He takes every opportunity to talk about whatever issue of the day, and he likes to let everyone know what his thoughts are. So here he has to say the spread of the coronavirus in prisons threatens the health and safety of all of us. Okay, again, I don't know any stats on this. When you are incarcerated, there's no such thing as social distancing. Sure, there is. And ensuring good hygiene is not an option. They don't give prisoners access to the bathrooms or washrooms, really? Leaders must do everything possible to prevent incarcerated people and those who work in prisons from becoming ill and spreading the virus, which is the same with any other institution, either ordained or governed by the state or municipal boards. So, yeah, I mean, I think they would have thought of that already. I'm calling on Governor Andrew Cuomo to take action in New York by granting clemency to New Yorkers in prisons. And then what? Where are these people going to go? They're going to go into state housing? What are they going to do? How does that work? I don't know if he's figured this out or thought this through there, Joaquin. What's going to happen to them? They're going to be walking around outside and then going to say, I have nowhere else to go, officer, and they're going to get thrown back in prison. The lives of so many people depend on his action. Nobody deserves to die in prison from COVID-19. Sure, but what's the solution? The solution is not letting them out in the public where you're not supposed to be. It's where you're supposed to stay inside. And they're inside, they're in prison. What's the problem? According to Cornell Law School, executive clemency is the power of a president or governor to pardon a person convicted of a crime or shorten the sentence to be served. So obviously he wants it to happen now, so he wants it to be completely free of charges. Previously released 1,100 low-level parole violators due to the spread of coronavirus. Okay, so he's already done this to people who have low-level parole violators. So he's already done this for whatever. This is not big news for me, so I don't know the reasons behind it. But he wants to go further. He wants to do everyone, which doesn't make sense. You don't just release every prisoner because the outside world is changing. Phoenix is no stranger to advocating for causes. Yeah, he's been outspoken about all sorts of things. That was during his Oscar speech. That was fun. Before he was arrested, the protesters telling him, I don't have anything prepared. People have spoken so intelligently and eloquently, but sometimes I think it isn't oftentimes talked about in the environmental movement or the conversation about climate change is that the meat and dairy industry is the third leading cause of climate change. And Again, you could have these views. There's nothing wrong with believing you should stop this or not do this or start doing this. I just want them to know why. I want them to know what the cause is, what the consequences are for not doing things, or else you don't know what you're talking about. And sadly, I can't possibly wrap my brain around half this stuff of the dairy industry. I know dairy farmers. I've known all kinds in Ontario, uh, beef farmers or livestock. These industries are not going away anytime soon. And to link it with climate change is just bizarre. It's just a stupid thing to say, as if humanity controls carbon dioxide on the planet, and the dairy industry or the meat industry is somehow that we can measure as the third leading cause of, it's just insane stuff. I think sometimes we wonder what we can do in this fight against climate change, and there is something we can do today, yada, yada, yada. What you consume. It all starts with what you eat. Yeah, sure, okay, change your diet for whatever reason. I don't care. Eat what you like. But don't tell it to other people. Don't preach to other people. Yeah, you should eat only vegetables. Maybe you don't like meat. Maybe it makes you sick. Maybe you have a problem digesting certain animal proteins or animal fats. Of course. Again, no one's stopping you. I have to say, I feel inclined because so many of my fellow actors that are deserving don't have that same privilege. I think that we send a very clear message to people of color that you're not welcome here. I really don't know about that. I think that's the message that we are sending to people that have contributed so much of our medium to our industry and in ways that we benefit from. So now he's talking about people of color. So it's climate change, it's vegetarianism, it's racism in Hollywood or something, and it's the coronavirus in prisons. I mean, what's next? Coronavirus in monasteries, ski chalets? What other closed environments are you going to think here, Joaquin? It's just let's just release all the prisoners from prison because they might get the virus when they're in prison, but they won't when they're outside. Huh? I don't know if you thought that through there, Joaquin, but I found this rather entertaining. A little bit of crazy for the afternoon on a Friday. But thanks for listening, guys, and hope you have a great day.